Well, I'm lucky for my fingers, a lucky bed to sleep, lucky thoughts that linger, lucky as I leave. Sometimes I turn my mind to days before we broke in two. But I'm lucky, so lucky for the times I spent with you. Hello and welcome to the Lo-Fi Lounge. This is Chris LeRoy. We have a variety show for you. There's going to be music and film and interviews, all in one 20-minute package. So glad you're here. We'll get started right now.
Let me wrap you in my warm, tender love. Let me wrap you in my warm and tender love. 'Cause I've known you a long, long time. Come on, please, till you be mine. Let me wrap you in my warm, tender love. Let me wrap you in my warm, tender love. Let me wrap you in my warm, tender love. You're so sweet, girl. You're so fine. Come on, please, you'll be mine. Let me wrap you in my warm and tender love. All right, brother, look. Let me wrap you in my warm and tender love. Let me wrap you in my warm and tender love.
On the Hills of Dawn by Alexander Poesy. Behold, the morning glory's sky-blue cup is mine wherewith to drink the nectar up, that morning spills of silver dew, and song upon the winds that woo and sigh their vows among the boughs. Behold, I'm rich in diamonds rare, and pearls, and breathe a golden air. My room is filled with shattered beams of light. My life is one of dreams in my hut on the hills of dawn.
My name's Victor KRUMMENACHER, and this is my friend John Kruth, and I have this new album called Blue Pacific coming out on March 1st on Veritas, 6 Degrees Records, and we're going to play a few songs from that today to kick off the promo campaign, right, John? Right. Is that what we do? This song's called Blue Pacific. Yeah. I'm staring at it where the sky meets the sea, wondering why it was I never could reach you. I tried to call you, I couldn't get you on the line. Well, nothing matters now that it's all through, but there's no getting that through to you. I tried to call you, I couldn't get you on the line. Pacific on my mind. Blue Pacific on my mind. Blue Pacific on my mind. On my mind. Hey, blue Pacific on my mind. I saw a boy there looking lost and high, and he gave me a sweet, sad smile. I looked in his eyes, and I could see what was on his mind. How many times can you crash and burn? How many times until the lesson's learned? I tried to call you, I couldn't get you on the line. So blue Pacific on my mind. Blue Pacific on my mind. Blue Pacific on my mind. On my mind. Hey, blue Pacific on my mind. All right, play a solo on a modulation. How many times can you crash and burn? How many times until the lesson's learned? I tried to call you, I couldn't get you on the line. I tried to call you, I couldn't get you on the line. I tried to call you, I couldn't get you on the line. On my mind. Blue Pacific on my mind. Blue
Hi, this is Morris. I'm going to be introducing a new segment on this show called The Time Machine. Not this week, though. Maybe next week. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a new edition of Dylan Box. I'm Ryan Harsh.
And I'm Chris LeRoy.
And we're very glad you're here. By the time you're watching this, the nation may have decided on a new leader or the same leader. We don't know. We're not trying to get political at all, but we are here to bring you some new music for this week. Chris asked me to pick a record, and I was thinking a live album, and there's so many to choose from, so I went with one that was... Well, why don't you go ahead and show us what we have in there.
Okay. Ryan's pick is Dylan and the Dead. Purchased for $6.99.
Ooh.
Back in the day. Very cool cover. So we're going to talk about Dylan and the Dead?
Yes. So my reasoning behind this was, my opinion, probably the greatest American single like solo artist songwriter. And then you have probably one of the greatest American bands.
Oh yeah.
And both of them are very similar in a lot of ways. And so we're going to kind of look and see if this summit, if you will, is ideal. If it's, I mean, sometimes you can take a group of geniuses and put them together, but you're not going to have optimal results.
Right.
And so we're going to see if something like this was a great experiment, or if it worked, or what we thought about it.
That's a good premise.
I don't know. We have maybe want to kick things off here with just a little background. This is Bob Dylan, performing artist, 86 to 90 and beyond. Mind Out of Time. Author is Paul Williams. And he wrote there's a story in here on this record and on the tour. So just a couple quotes. Bob Weir, who's a guitar player for the Dead, said of the pairing, Bob Dylan was difficult to work with in as much as he wouldn't want to rehearse a song more than 2 times, 3 at the most. And so we rehearsed maybe 100 songs 2 or 3 times. Mickey Hart, drummer for the Dead, says we were trying to back up a singer on songs that no one knew. It was not our finest hour nor his. I don't know why it was even made into a record. And then Dylan, some years later, kind of because he's always kind of looking back at what happens many years later, he says, at the time of that tour, I couldn't even sing my own songs. There were so many layers and so much water had gone round that I had a hard time grasping the meaning of the songs. So, interesting. What do you know about the Dead?
I know a lot about the Dead. Of course, an incredible fan in my era. Everybody who had an album and had 4 albums, you had to have at least American Beauty or Working Man's Dead. You had to have that album, and so you realize that the Dead, even though later on they were much more a phenomenon as the kind of live and this improvisational strength, that Garcia and Hunter, there's some really good songwriting too. You have this rich tapestry and history of a band that still probably never reached all their potential because they had a lot of challenges going on keeping the band together, or
A lot of challenges.
health issues going forward. So totally dig the Dead. One of my favorite people in the world, a guy named Donald Fosdick, he would always come and see us at the Dangers when we had our nightclub called The Beat. And Donald was like, I got to get you to see the Dead. Got to see the Dead.
So did you go?
Didn't go.
Saw him a couple times in concert, really near the last year that Jerry was alive.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't all that, he was flubbing a lot of lines. He was relying on a teleprompter, and the band just kind of were gelling because he was the center of that band. I mean, everybody, what I love about the Dead is everybody had a completely different musical background, and it made it work. So you had a guy who was like a jazz guy and like a concrete abstract music, and you had a folk guy, you had big band kind of swing drummer, and you had a world drummer, and you had everybody, and they all kind of made this stew right in the middle of the 60s, and it just worked. And in reading the story, Dylan was at an interesting point in his life, and I think Garcia had gone to see him in Berkeley or something like that, and they talked backstage, and they just started kind of batting stuff around, and then Dylan was really attracted to. What made the Dead work. Never played a show the same way twice, in terms of just the music and the set list. And so, anyway, Dylan's walking around. He kind of sees this, and he's starting to think, well, like the shows I've been doing have been the same set list. So he goes on tour with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and they go to Jerusalem, and 2 nights in a row they play 2 completely different shows. And he's thinking to himself, like, I haven't done this in years. And this is where it started. This is just starting to talking to Jerry and looking at the Dead and looking at what made them work. So it's like he kind of found this at a crossroads in his career. And I think it changed the dynamic of what he did, but I also think it changed the dynamic of what they did a little bit too.
So, and all those things seem like positive outcomes.
Yeah.
Until you hear the album.
Every
2, 3, 4. Well, I'm lucky for my fingers, a lucky bed to sleep, lucky thoughts that linger, lucky as I leave. Sometimes I slow my mind to days before we broke in two. But I'm lucky, so lucky for the times I spent with you. Now some folks call it destiny, they can't control our fate. But me, I don't believe that stuff. Then I'm luckier that way. Sometimes I spend my mind of days before we broke into. But I'm lucky, so lucky for the times I spent with you. What more could I ask for? What more could I do? What more could I ask for? I owe so much to you. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm lucky I'm still dreaming, lucky to have cried, even lucky for the bad luck, just lucky to have tried. Sometimes I turn my mind to days before we broke into. I'm lucky, so lucky for the times I spend with you, for the times I spend with you. Ooh. We'll be lucky, lucky, lucky.